Good morning. Thanks for attending. We'll just give it 30 seconds more just for people to join, and then we'll get started. Good morning and welcome to the evolution of CSP, Microsoft's new commerce experience partner update. My name is John Gorton. I'm the head of Microsoft practice here at Bytes. I'll be taking you through some key changes that Microsoft are making as they modernize the CSP or Cloud Solution Provider program. First, we've got some housekeeping just to cover off. You'll be muted throughout the session, but if you do have any questions, please pop them into the chat window and me and the team will answer those at the Q&A session towards the end of the session. There'll be a survey at the end. If you could take the time to complete that, that'd be really good. Feedback is really valuable to us, so please do that. But finally, before I get started, it will be recorded and we'll share a link and a copy of the slides with you all after the session. So I'm conscious that you may have attended one of our previous updates on NCE. But just to start, I want to recap on Microsoft's journey and what that means to new commerce. So when we look back over the years, we can see that Microsoft's volume licensing programs have continually evolved. Back when, before Microsoft launched the enterprise agreement, we had just the open license agreement for SMB or MOLP as it was called back then. And then select agreement for kind of medium and large organizations. Since then, Microsoft's licensing has evolved to provide customers with different purchasing options and flexibility. Obviously, with that, as we've seen loads of complexity. So each of those different licensing programs were designed for on-premises software and not cloud services, which is the world we live in today. Each of those programs had their own terms and conditions, different rules, different product sets. So Microsoft are on a mission to effectively simplify how our customers buy and modernize the tools and systems that Microsoft use, obviously you guys use, and in turn we use to transact with Microsoft. As part of that, Microsoft are introducing an update to their commerce platform, and that's where Microsoft's new commerce experience comes in. So Microsoft's new commerce experience, or modern commerce, as you may have heard it previously, was actually launched back in 2019 in the CSP program. So Azure Plan, service subscriptions for Azure, reserved instances, and perpetual software are already on the new commerce platform. On the 10th of January, Microsoft introduced a new set of offers in new commerce. For Microsoft 365, Dynamics Power Platform, and Windows 365. And that's kind of what they're referring to now as the new commerce experience. I mentioned the multiple routes to market that Microsoft have had with all of their different licensing agreements. You can see on the left-hand side there that there's been kind of various routes to market. Nirvana for Microsoft is 3 kind of go-to-market motions. Breadth motion is effectively the CSP program. Enterprise motion is their enterprise agreement, which obviously is available direct with Microsoft through licensing solution providers. And then we've got the self-service motion, which has kind of always been around. That is the customers buying directly from Microsoft, either through Web Direct or through the Microsoft customer agreement. You can read more kind of around Microsoft's plans to modernize licensing by clicking on the link at the bottom of the screen, which takes you through to a Microsoft blog. So NCE is the next phase of modernizing CSP. We've just moved all of our CSP Azure customers onto the Modern Commerce platform, which was a transition to Azure Plan. That meant calendar month billing, perpetual software, like I said, software subscriptions, reserved instances, even third-party marketplace offers were already on the Modern Commerce platform. So this next phase is to move the per seat based offers onto Modern Commerce. And at the same time, Microsoft are using this launch to update its terms and introduce and enforce a cancellation policy. So that is something that should have been there from the very beginning of CSP, but actually was never enforced, which is what's given our customers the ability to kind of have that flexibility in terms of moving seats up and down, which I'll come on to. So, like I said, New Commerce Experience terms launched on the 10th of January, and with that, anyone buying an NCE offer will need to accept the updated terms. So they'll be presented with that within the Bytes Cloud dashboard, or you guys will need to get your customers to agree to the new updated terms. If we look at kind of some of the release highlights, available now is a new monthly term offer, which provides customers with the flexibility that they've been used to in CSP, obviously due to the lack of cancellation policy enforcement, which I mentioned. For Dynamics 365, there is a 36-month offer available, which allows customers to lock prices for that duration. In calendar year 2022, so this year, Microsoft will release a 36-month offer for Microsoft 365. They originally kind of slated that as being available in March, but have kind of suggested that may not be March, it might be later in the year. So we're still waiting for confirmation of exactly when that will be. Billing will be aligned to calendar month, which makes obviously understanding invoices so much easier. With regards to the exclusive new offers, Microsoft will release new offers in CSP that perhaps won't be available through other programs. There's now the ability to toggle between auto renew on or off. That's live within our cloud dashboard. So you guys will have the ability to select that on behalf of your customers as to whether you offer kind of auto renew on online subscriptions or not. And finally, there'll be 2 launch promotions, which I'll come on to in a bit more detail. Coming later in the year will be multi-year terms or 36-month offers for Microsoft 365. This will allow your customers to lock pricing for a 3-year term. We'll be able to convert trials into paid-for subscriptions. Microsoft will release something called the hybrid use benefit, which is it's the rights to use on-premise productivity service when buying Microsoft 365 licenses. That's an offer or a term that's available to customers buying through the enterprise agreement today. So it starts to bring kind of parity between the license programs. New communications offers will be available in the form of communications credits, if you've heard of those. So it's pay-as-you-go consumption for Teams telephony. Again, that's something that's been available to EA customers, but hasn't been available to CSP. Multi-geo capabilities, again, another EA offer that's finally coming to CSP. So multi-geo capabilities allow global customers to essentially replicate the data across Microsoft data centers so that users across the other side of the world are accessing data locally. So let me give you an example of that. If we've got a UK-based customer So the tenant is in the UK, but perhaps they've got US-based users. Rather than those US-based users accessing the UK data center, Microsoft will replicate a copy of the data and store it in the US data center, so that those users are accessing the data locally. We'll also be able to do things like schedule upgrades and align subscription end dates, so that's all coming. In terms of March is a key date. We're yet to understand exactly what's going to be released on the 10th of March. It will be. Again, we'll post out information on exactly what that looks like as and when Microsoft gives a clear roadmap. So let's look at the cancellation policy. So previously in CSP, there were two offer durations available, a 12-month or annual, and for Dynamics 365, a 36-month commitment. Both were available with annual upfront and monthly payment options. However, there wasn't a cancellation policy, so customers had the ability to reduce quantities or cancel them altogether at any point during, obviously, the 12 or 36-month period. With the new NCE terms, Microsoft are introducing a cancellation policy, which means that customers won't be able to reduce quantities or cancel outside of a 24-hour cancellation window. If you've got customers that need the flexibility, there is this new monthly term offer. So that has a cancellation policy still, so 24 hours. But what it does mean is it has a 1-month commitment. So if I move on to that, the 1-month commitment basically means that they can adjust quantities as and when they need to, but on a monthly basis as opposed to a daily basis as they could with kind of legacy CSP. The monthly offer, because it doesn't have an annual commitment, will come with a price premium of around about 20%. The 12-month commitment will have 2 billing options. So we'll have a monthly or annual upfront. I'll come on to why I've put an asterisk on the monthly billing option there. And then when we do see the 36-month subscription term, again, there'll be 3-year price lock-in for those customers, and you'll have annual upfront for 36 months, annual or even monthly billing options there again. So the reason I've put an asterisk on those is because we refer to those as high-risk offers, and I'll explain all of that shortly. So just keep that in mind just for a second. When we look at the pricing model, the new subscription lineup is now in line with Microsoft.com and actually other industries whereby customers receive a discount for making an annual commitment. The monthly commitment offers don't have or carry any commitment beyond 1 month, so therefore are more expensive. It's important to remember that in legacy CSP, customers were buying an annual commitment. It's just that Microsoft never enforced the cancellation policy, which is see how they were able to reduce those quantities. As you'll see on screen, this is a snip from Microsoft's website in terms of buying online. You can see that there's a lower price for the annual commitment, or they go on to paying, if you use Microsoft 365 Business Basic as an example, £3.80 per user per month for the annual commitment, or £4.50 if you only want a monthly commitment. So didn't want to commit upfront for a year. So I mentioned high-risk offers. High-risk offers are essentially those that expose you and us to a credit risk. So with annual and multi-year commitments, we and you, or your customers, can't cancel orders or amend quantities down outside of a 24-hour window. So it means you're committed to paying bytes for the entire commitment term, regardless of whether the customer pays you or not. For obvious reasons, we're classing those as high-risk offers. Our recommendation is that you ask for the annual upfront payment if you're doing an annual commitment. But if you are going to offer a monthly billing as an option, then you should really, perform a comprehensive credit check on any customer that you wish to offer monthly billing to, where you're purchasing or they're purchasing on an annual commitment basis. So, the cloud dashboard will give you the ability to disable any high-risk offers on a per customer basis. So it's entirely optional to you. If we've authorized you as a reseller to have high-risk offers, then you'll be able to select whether you offer that to your customers and take on the risk yourselves. One of the new features of New Commerce is the ability to put a customer on pause. So it's something we'll only be using in the event that a customer fails to pay and we need to take some immediate action. Putting a customer on pause switches off their online services, so it's really a last resort measure, but it's something that can be used obviously to help reduce that risk. So just bear that in mind. It is something that is available as a kind of last resort. So let's look at promotions. So promotions in CSP or with the NCE release will be limited to 2,400 licenses. That's on a per customer tenant, regardless of how many partners that customer buys through. So the rationale behind the 2,400 limit is effectively Microsoft don't want it competing with the enterprise agreement. So the cap is in place there. There's a check that's done within the cloud dashboard before it presents pricing to you as a reseller, or if you're passing it on to your customer, to check to see how many of a particular promotion a customer has already purchased through any other partner. So it looks at their tenant, and it'll tell you how many quantity are available for a customer to purchase moving forwards. So whilst the promotions cap is 2,400, don't confuse that with the earnings cap of 2,400, which is breadth economics, which I'll come on to and explain that in a bit more detail what that means. In terms of the promotions, Microsoft are running 2 launch promotions. So for the new monthly offer, Microsoft are discounting it by 16.7%, quite specific. The reason for that is it's to match the legacy annual price, so the price that your customers are perhaps paying today. That gives customers a continued flexibility that they've been used to, obviously at the same price. Couple of caveats on that one. Because the commitment is only 1 month on a monthly offer, there is no price lock beyond that 1 month duration. So that means from March, the price will increase as per the Microsoft 365 commercial price increases. Also, once the promotion ends at the end of June, price will increase again as it will resort to the standard price in play at that time. As mentioned, that promotion is available through to the end of June. And then we have the annual offer, which is offering a 5% off the annual commitment price. So with the annual commitment, that allows you to price lock in the promo price for a 12-month period. So you should use that to lock in pricing before the commercial price increase, which takes place on the 1st of March. So it'll avoid the price increase and also provide you with the 5% saving. I mentioned the 5% price increase. Let me just talk about it just quickly. So the commercial price increase is only on specific Microsoft 365 and Office 365 SKUs. So you can see on the screen, on the right-hand side there, there's 6 part codes which are affected by this. This was announced by Microsoft back in August. Link on the screen there if you want to refer back to the blog that Microsoft posted this on. So if you've got customers buying any of these 6 SKUs, you should try and lock in pricing before the 1st of March. Otherwise, your customers will be affected by those increases. So to see which products have promotions applied to them, if you go to the Bytes Cloud dashboard, you can see a list of all of the promotions and the kind of percentage that has been applied to them. So that's the place to kind of check. When you browse products, you'll clearly see a promotions tag on each of those products as well outside of this view. So let's look at a timeline of the events that are happening. So not specific to NCE or new commerce, but as I said, the 1st of March, there's commercial price increase on those 6 SKUs. That's across all programs and not just CSP, so just bear that in mind. In CSP, customers can either purchase a new subscription in Legacy before the 1st of March, or if they're buying a new commerce experience part code, they can use that to lock in pricing using the annual commitment offer, which will then take them through to the end of a full 12 months. Like I said, available today is the annual commitment promotion, which reduces the price by 5%. That promotion only runs up until the end of March. Microsoft have said that they may extend it through to the end of June, but at the moment it is set to the end of March, so just bear that in mind. The monthly commitment promo reduces the price that's in line with the annual flexible offer that customers have got today in Legacy CSP. That promotion will run up until the end of March. In March, we'll see the additional functionality that I mentioned earlier to be defined as to what that is, but it will be things like the ability to be able to schedule upgrades, align billing end dates, and so on. So kind of 2 important dates here are from the 1st of March, new purchases will only be available as NCE offers. So any customer buying new products which they haven't previously purchased, they will need to be new commerce experience and therefore have the cancellation period policy applied to them. With regards to renewals, you have through to the 1st of July to renew any legacy offers into new commerce experience. So that is a change. Microsoft originally had that down as the 1st of March. They've now extended it through to July, basically to give you more time to look at renewing those customers into new commerce experience. A suggestion, obviously, whilst that is the 1st of July, is if you leave it until that time, any customers renewing will actually incur the price increase that comes in on the 1st of March. So actually, advice there is to perhaps bring those renewals forward into February as a way of kind of avoiding those price increases. And then finally is the incentives in Legacy. Again, Microsoft originally announced that they would end any incentive payments through Legacy CSP at the end of September. That's now been extended to the end of December, which means any customers buying through Legacy will have up until the end of December, at which point we're going to move all of those customers over to NCE so that obviously incentives continue to be paid to you as the partner if you're eligible for those incentives. So I mentioned that one. So again, just to reiterate the point, those prices will increase. You can see on the right-hand side the US dollar value. We actually do have preview pricing in GBP, so we can share that with you if you want to see those prices and what the actual increase. It is preview pricing though, so caveat, it is subject to change by Microsoft. So speak to your Bytes account manager on that and we'll share those prices with you. So let's look at some renewal options and some examples. So as previously explained, 1st of March, no customers will be able to buy new legacy offers. So I know through the partners that transact through Bytes today, there's a huge number of customers with renewals due over the next few months. So we really need to discuss with your customers the options as soon as possible to try and avoid the price increases on M365 and to lock in prices in February. So options are start a new legacy subscription before the end of Feb. You could do this by doing an early renewal, increase the quantity in a new legacy subscription and reduce or cancel down the expiring one. And that'll extend the time that customers have in the legacy kind of experience through to the end of December. Or you could move the customer to NCE now so they can take advantage of the 5% promotion. So to do that, create a new create a new NCE subscription, increase the quantity in the new one and effectively reduce down or cancel the expiring one. So you can do that regardless of when the customer's legacy subscription is due to expire. Or you can do a combination of the two. So have the conversation with your customers about what their base level of users might need to be. So those are, by base level, I mean number of users that don't need to change or don't need the flexibility. And then perhaps you might want to retain some legacy subscriptions for those number of users that need to have flexibility. So let me walk through some examples. So let me cover off some terminology just to kind of make this maybe less confusing. Think of a license as a product. So a customer could be buying a Microsoft 365 license. Think of a subscription as a container that the licenses sit in. So the subscription or container has a duration, and any licenses dropped into that container will expire at the same time. So this example here, customer has 1,000 Microsoft 365 E3 licenses in a legacy subscription, which expires at the end of Feb. They could renew 999 of them in a new legacy subscription, which starts on the 28th of Feb, obviously last day to buy new licenses, and that would run up until the end of December 2022. At the same time, they could create a new NCE subscription with a quantity of 1, and that will give them or lock in the annual commitment part code, which locks the price for 12 months. So it includes the 5% promotion and locks in the kind of March price. That's one subscription wouldn't expire until the end of Feb 2023. It doesn't quite go to Feb on the screen, and I kind of explain why that is. There you go. So come the end of December, you could drop in the remaining 999 legacy subscriptions into the NCE one. They will receive the 5% promotion price through to the end of Feb. At the end of February next year, so 1st of March, you can renew all of those 1,000 licenses as a new commerce experience. Again, the 5% promo will have finished by then, so obviously it will be the then priceless price as we move forward. For another example, so again, let's say 1,000 users of Microsoft 365. This one expires at the end of April. What we've said here is we'll bring forward the renewal. So we'll reduce down at the end of Feb the quantity of licenses so that we can take advantage of the promotion pricing. We can just renew all of those into new commerce experience before the 1st of March to secure the 5% discount and avoid the commercial price increase. Then again, come end of Feb next year, those will renew as new commerce experience annual offers. Or similar example again, so 1,000 users renewing early. Let's bring that forwards into Feb. Like the previous example, it's 1,000 users, bring it forwards, but this time we want to offer some flexibility. So here we're using the new commerce, new monthly flexible SKU, along with the annual SKU, which has the 5% discount applied to it. So again, we can renew all of those in new commerce experience in March next year. So hopefully that gives you some idea of the options that you've got available to your customers and to work through each one of those. So if we move on to change of channel partner. Now, if you think about the cancellation policy, it does lock in a customer to you as a partner for whatever duration offer that they've bought. So if we think about a monthly offer, at the end of a month, a customer could move from partner A to partner B. However, if they've bought an annual offer, they are committed to you as the partner to pay you either upfront for 12 months, or if you've offered monthly billing, they've committed to monthly billing for a minimum of 12 months. So they can't move partners kind of midterm. The billing is with you as the reseller. What they could do is start buying new seats through a new partner, but they wouldn't be able to move the billing that they've committed to you as the partner until they've made all 12 installments. So I mentioned at the start this term breadth channel economics. Now, what does that mean? You've seen, and we'll share the link with you, starting in July, Microsoft are going to enforce a cap on partner earnings, and that's at 2,400 seats for online services. So any license sold above 2,399, we will be billed by Microsoft at RRP, and no incentives will be paid. So what that means to you as our partners is exactly the same. So RRP for any seats over 2,400. And if you're eligible for any incentives through the Microsoft channel incentives, they won't be paid on any seats over 2,400. Unlike promotions, which has a similar cap of obviously 2,400, the cap on promotions is per customer. So regardless of how many partners the end customer buys through. This earnings cap is per partner, so one customer could buy through multiple partners and have each one having their own earning cap of 2,400 seats. For Azure, you will not earn any incentive or partner, backend incentives for anything over $84K per month, but you will continue to earn margin in the form of partner earned credit as long as admin rights are maintained. There are kind of two role-based access control rights that you'll need to maintain in order to earn partner earned credit. And that could be as little as support, admin, or what's the other one? Cost and optimization contributor, I believe it is. So some key points. Customers will be able to purchase under the legacy model up until the end of this month. Annual term subscriptions will only run up until the end of December. So there's legacy annual subscriptions, at which point they will need to move to new commerce experience. You can purchase new commerce experience side by side with legacy offers. So there's no issue in doing that. However, obviously new purchases will only be available in legacy up until the end of this month, at which point anything new will need to be purchased as new commerce experience. The M365 commercial price increase comes into effect as of 1st of March. So secure pricing for your customers before that point. Doing so through new commerce experience with an annual commitment will secure a 5% discount. and like I say, avoid the commercial price increase. And finally, promotions are capped at 2,400 licenses per customer. So that's it. Let's look at some questions and just take a look at those. So we've got a question on the 2,400. Is 2,400 per license or all licenses on a tenancy? So, excuse me, let me talk about 2,400 in two ways. One is the promotion, and that is 2,400 licenses of a particular SKU per tenant, so per customer tenant. Typically, one customer has one tenant or identity. With regards to the earnings cap, that is actually per product group. Microsoft are yet to define what the product release final, what the product groups look like. But for example, if you were to say Microsoft 365 E3 and Office 365 E3 would both be in the same product group. So it'd be 2,400 licenses combined within a product group. More to follow on that as Microsoft release it. That earnings cap, and maybe I didn't mention this actually, doesn't come into effect until the 1st of July. So pretty key date. So we're good for now. Come the 1st of July, any new purchases over 2,400 seats will be subject to the earnings cap. Another question is what happens if a customer's prepaid on the old subscription? Have to cancel the old subscription, will it be credited when switching over to the new commerce experience? If they have that's a good question actually. If they've prepaid, they will stay on legacy through until the expiry date of that subscription term. So no need to move before the end of that subscription if they're prepaid. However, any new seats they could purchase through new commerce experience. And actually, it is advisable just to buy a quantity of one now, so that if they add additional seats later on, they will have secured the 5% promotion and avoided the price increase. Will this apply to not-for-profit licenses? Yeah, good call. So this is only available to commercial and government customers. Academic and not-for-profit will be coming later. Microsoft haven't given a date for that yet. And with regards to the price increase, that is everyone but not-for-profit. So just bear that one in mind. Question: how do we switch a legacy license in Feb that's expiring in April without a double cost for March? So legacy licenses paid for on a per month basis, you can simply just reduce down the quantity and increase a new commerce experience license today. You'll only be billed for the number of days up until the point you do that conversion. So there wouldn't be a double cost in March. But you need to obviously do that before the end of Feb to secure the price, 5% price. Hopefully that answers that one. Next question. What is the 5% price applied to? What is the headline price? That will be the 5% off. So the 5% discount will be off your cost from bytes. It will just simply be a reduction of 5% on those annual commitment part codes. And I think, well, no more questions in the chat window, but we'll keep the call open for a few more minutes just in case there are any questions. But with that, if you could complete the survey, that will come up when we close off the call. Once we close off the call, if you do have any further questions, either drop them to your Bytes account manager or tell me more at bytes.co.uk. So I'll just leave the call open for a couple more minutes. just to see if there are any additional questions. Yeah, next question is, will the recording be made available? Absolutely, we'll send you a link of the recording and a copy of the slides as well. Okay, thanks for your time. We'll end the call there. Like I said, if you do have any further questions, drop them to your Bytes account manager or tell me more at bytes.co.uk. Once we close the call, the survey will pop up. If you could do that, would really appreciate that. Thanks for your time.